far we've had a lot of fun. But any good news, really? You'll go home soon to see your family, right? Yeah. She's like, family, no. Don't care. Any what?
You learned a lot of information and the new technology and methodology from US.
A lot of information. You know, I was making like a game last night. What are the different things that we talked about? We talked about so much stuff. So you know, go home, just process it, let it sink in, try things out. If things don't work, let me know, email me, or Facebook me. Some people Facebook me, it's great. So just remember, let it sink in, all the information that we've been discussing, right? Good. Any other good news? Okay. Today it's going to be a different day than usual. I'll begin with just my research. So it's just me talk. But I would like your feedback, because I want, we're teachers, we are university teachers. I want you to help me so I can help you, right? But today I want to show you in my research one of the #1 activities that I think is beneficial that connects both inside the classroom to outside the classroom. It's called dialogue journals. And as the title is, you use the dialogue journals with university EFL students, right? From a socio-cultural perspective. There will be some things that you do know. You'll be like, I know that, or what's that, right? If you don't know something, what do? Dave, what? Just like every day, she's like, what did you say? Good. And so if you look on the handout, where's the handout? Where's the handout? That's the handout? Is this the handout you got? Yeah. Is there a cover to it? Yeah. Really? Here it is. Okay. This is what we'll do today. First, I'll talk about my research just for a little bit, which might be 30 minutes or so. Then we'll stop, have questions. Then we'll do some review if there's time. After that, we'll give you a little present. And then say bye-bye. So, this is an outline of my talk. First, I'll talk about some introductions, right? Then I'll talk about the dialogue journal assignment. I highly recommend all of you try this in your university classes, okay? Then I'll talk about some key concepts, usually theoretical concepts, followed by pedagogical scaffolding. What's a scaffold? Step by step. You know when you make a building, you put a scaffold around the building? Okay? It's kind of like that concept. Also, the analysis and design, followed by discussion and advantages and disadvantages. Okay, Lamar? Okay? Okay. Here we go. So this project began with a woman named Kathy Bailey. She's the one that wrote that drama play, the 3-act play. She wrote that. Cool, huh? Also, there's a man, he's right here. His name is Ryan Dameron. So we were Peace Corps volunteers in China in 2008 together. And then she was my advisor. Back in the day, she worked with Hong Kong students. And she worked with really low-level students. I worked with really high-level students. We both used dialogue journals together. So one day we were having a beer, just drinking at a bar, and Kathy's like, Dave, we should do a project together. Like, yeah, we should, shouldn't we? And so Ryan was there too, and he said, yeah. He bought us some more beer. So we kept drinking, and Ryan said, I'll help you guys analyze your data. Yeah! So we combined our data together to do this project. And so our journals are from EFL students. They're both low level and high level. So although some of you are like, my students are too low, I can't do this. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So dialogue journals can be employed at almost all EFL proficiency levels and in almost all educational contexts. Not just me, not just Kathy, but also Mihiro Singh said that as well. So many people around the world right now are thinking, wow, dialogue journals are really interesting. So this is becoming the biggest trend right now in EFL teaching. What is a dialogue journal? It's a written conversation, right? In which a student and a teacher communicate on a regular basis. That's key, daily, weekly, depending on what the educational setting. The teacher is what? A participant in an ongoing written conversation. And so basically, the teacher and the student will have a conversation in the written form over a period of time that's consistent, right? Me, I did it once a month. Kathy did it every week. Dialogue journals. In dialogue journals, language teaching and learning are organized so that communication is systematically dialogic. This is the whole social cultural theory that we talked about before, right? And so, this is what my dialogue journals look like. I have my students type because they're very high level. And I like to respond because I write faster, I type faster than I write. And so this is what mine looks like. A student will say, for example, Dave, I have a couple questions for us to discuss. So the student brings the topic of conversation. Question 1. Do you think there's equality in love and marriage? How do you respond to that? What do? Do you take a teacher role, or do you take a colleague role, or a friend role? How do you respond to the student? Balance, tell me more. Yeah. True. That's how you respond, right? But just, would Mongolian students ever ask a teacher this question? No. You know, in China as well, they don't ask these questions. You just don't do it. Yeah. Sometimes it got really personal. Like, Dave, how many girlfriends have you had in your life? I'm like, whoa, okay. But what happens is the relationship between the teacher and the student becomes less. It becomes more friend-like, right? How did I respond? I said, I don't know. Is there ever true equality between any facet of life, right? I said, I cannot deny possibility. However, equality is something to be achieved and desired, but never fully satisfied. Also, the student wrote down here, what did she say? Yeah, I think there's also a possibility that we can find equality like 100%. So she's putting like numbers in there. I'm like, I don't see how we can quantify numbers. So I'm beginning to argue with the student. So the journal is not just a place just to have a little conversation. You can have arguments, fights. You can have like jokes. You can really have a conversation in writing. But my students are very high level. Remember that. Kathy's are very low level. What does Kathy do in Hong Kong? She says, I will write as much as you write. If I write a page, if you write a page, I'll write a page. So she actually writes. She has 30 students. I have 150 students. So, could you write for 150? Well, you can if you're crazy, right? But she wrote. And you see how she responded in the side columns? Just like that. So once again, dialogue journals is a written conversation over a period of time between a teacher and student. And so the key concept is affordance. Do you remember this? I hope this sparks memory. What's an affordance? The relationship between what? That's right. An organism and a particular feature of its environment. Well, an affordance allows action. It neither triggers nor causes that action. What becomes an affordance depends on what the organism does, what it wants, and what is useful for it. Remember this? No, I don't either, right? Big question mark. But now you know. Remember this? The leaf stays the same. Remember? The properties of the leaf do not change. But what uses the leaf and how it uses the leaf changes. So, it crawls for a tree frog, it cuts for an ant, food for a caterpillar, or shade for a spider. Right? Oh, and medicine for a shaman. Yeah. And etc., etc., etc. So imagine the dialogue journal is the leaf. What students do with the dialogue journal depends. And so, in all cases, the leaf is the same. Its properties do not change. It is just that different properties are perceived and acted upon by different organisms. Remember, the journal is the leaf. The students are the insects. Don't call them insects, though. Don't call them insects. And so I say, each student has a different teacher. Pedagogical scaffolding. What do we do as teachers? Van Leer and his wife Walty in 2002 used this framework of how teachers interact in the classroom. It's called more planned to less planned. So as teachers, what can we do? No matter what, we can do continuity and coherence. Meaning, you come to this class every day, right? What do? You sit in the same groups, right? I forced that, didn't I? You know your team members now, right? That's continuity. You come every day, the same place. Coherence is the same thing. Supportive environment. As teachers, we can create that. Excuse me? Boundaries. Yes. She said boundaries, remember? How else did I create a supportive environment? What did I do here? Do what? Make a circle. Remember the circle? What else what else? Play on stage. You went to the stage. Especially you, remember? Good. What else can the teacher do? Many things. Intersubjectivity. What does that mean? Yes. Relationship between subjects. Between teacher and student. Or between student and student. Flow. Remember I said I want you to be in flow? Sometimes you're so involved in something, the time goes by. That's flow. Then we go down. Teacher has less planning here. The teacher can't do much here. Contingency. Yeah, it means continue forward, right? And finally, emergence or hangover or takeover. So by the end of the class, we want to be away and we want to give the students power. So they're confident and on their own. More planned, less planned. Questions about that? I'll go through each again. Now think, as I talk about this, think about dialogue journals as an affordance and as a way to do pedagogical scaffolding. So, continuity and coherence. Tasks and activities that occur again and again and again, but with variation. So I might say groups, 5 minutes, secretary, control, or team leader, control. I might change the group, right? Also, having continuity and coherence in their curriculum and instruction provides second language learners what? A steady platform from which to what? Venture out in new linguistic directions. If the students see the same thing over and over and over again, they become more confident. And they might take more risks. We want risk-taking, right? Supportive environment. Must feel safe and trusted and must know that any mistakes or failures will not be held against them. Do you do that in your classes? Yes. Remember, this is one of my number one things I want you to learn to do. Second language learners can trust the teacher and their fellow learners. Remember icebreakers that we did? That helps here. To be supportive and tolerant of their what? Attempts to try something new, even if they might not be fully successful. Intersubjectivity. This is the definition. Second language learners listen attentively to what others have to say, help others, and are comfortable asking for help without feeling embarrassed. They're willing to invest time and energy in understanding each other. So it's not just the power of teacher and student, but between students and their ability to actually help each other and listen to each other, right? And this is flow. You know that, I'll skip it. This is flow. What does that tell you? But look closely. We have on this side challenges, this side skills. If you make it too complicated for your students, where are you? You're on this side, right? If it's too easy, what happens? You're kind of like on this side. What happens when it's too hard? What do students do? If it's too hard, what happens? I give up. If it's too easy, I'm bored. So it's kind of like that. If the challenges are too high, they'll get nervous. You agree? Yes. If it's too low, apathy. Whatever. If it's high skills and low challenge, they're bored. This is where you want them to be. And that's hard to do. Finally, or next, contingency. Task procedures and task progress depend on initiatives taken by learners. Initiatives taken by learners. We want them to start taking control. That's our goal, right? The language used is supported what? By what has been said so far, and it contributes to what is said next. Finally, the last pedagogical scaffolding is called immersions or handover takeover. I give you. Second language learners become increasingly autonomous. They find their own voice, and take initiative in proposing, planning, constructing, and reflecting on subject area tasks. This is our goal, right? So the question is, what do dialogue journals have to do with this? So I have a research question. Kathy and I, over at Alcohol, said, are the 6 features of pedagogical scaffolding, are they present in the dialogue journals? Can we actually see continuity, coherence? Can we see intersubjectivity, flow, handover? Can we actually in writing? Because this is usually in what? Spoken language. But can we see it in writing? Do you think we can? Maybe. So, I had a lot of students. Kathy didn't have much. So I took mine from my second semester, and Kathy and I decided, since women outnumber men, in China, I don't know about Mongolia, in a language class of 100 people, 90 will be women, 10 will be men. Is that the same in Mongolia? Yes. Okay, same thing. So since women outnumber men by about 2 to 1, we randomly selected. Okay. Okay, you got it. And so we combed through the dialogues, journals, and responses for evidence of the 6 features. We coded it based on our understanding of those 6 features, right? And we had a great 0.97 intercoder agreement. 0.97 means that we are 97% overlap. Okay. Continuity and coherence. Here's one student's journal. She said, as I said before, I really hope that I can pick up English again. I agree with Professor Brown that we should set some specific goals every day. Indeed, I do set some already. I try to talk with native speakers in Hall, memorize 10 vocabulary words each day, and of course, step by step. So what language shows some continuity and coherence? As I said before. Look how powerful that is. The student is saying to me, the teacher, as I said, remember what I said? The student is trusting me to remember the conversation. That's cool. Supportive environment. It clearly emerged within the dialogue journals. It's a very low-risk private conversation between us. And so, here's an example that occurred during class lessons. Okay? A student said, dialogue journal is also a place to take risks, take positions, to solidify knowledge, and to ask questions and get help when needed. This is what my assignment actually told the students. So just the assignment itself shows supportive environment. Do you agree? A student said, I am so appreciated that Dave read every word in my picture. And what Dave have done just make me feel that what I have done be respected. I want to say that thank you, Dave. Thank you for your serious comments, heartfelt. So I saw right away in many journals, students feel supported by our conversations. Intersubjectivity, remember, means mutual engagement, being in tune with one another. And so, a student wrote, I really enjoy reviewing my classmates' journals. Ah! By reading my classmates' journals, I find I am not working alone. We both have identical goal. Through response, we would get other support and share experience with each other. As a teacher, how would that make you feel? Makes you feel good, right? The students are actually in tune with each other. And believe it or not, many students said, student blah 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 and I are now best friends. We talk all the time. And so, after a lesson about domestic violence, remember Alligator River? I was talking to Alta after one day. Alta said, Dave, Alligator River, that was sexual harassment? Don't talk about that in Mongolia. Remember? Sexual harassment, physical violence, disinterest, apathy, lack of understanding, these big, heavy issues, remember? Right? I did it in China. Bad day. And so, after a discussion about physical violence where the mother beat the child, a student said to me, I said to the student, whoa. First of all, thank you for opening yourself up. Secondly, I am so sorry to hear that. Thirdly, are you okay? That's what I said to the student because she told me that her father beat her mother and her a lot. So that's how I actually responded. I had no other way to respond. How would you respond? Right? How would you respond? Similar, right? I'm a very energetic person. I love exclamation marks. all the time? Flow. Flow is the hardest feature I have found to actually see in the writing. So, a student said, "Hey Dave, I love this really. It's the time for me to express myself and review my mind and my life. Journal time really makes me excited." Yes! And I found I've become more and more passionate about it. Thanks so much to let me have such valuable experience. What I'm going to talk about is the racism. Take it very seriously. So this student wants to talk about racism. But to talk about racism, she says, "Dave, I love journal. Journal is great, da da da." She's in flow. Do you see that? She loves writing so much that now she can write about anything she wants. Cool, huh? And then she actually disagrees with me. She goes, "Dave, okay, I don't think I wrote it." She goes, "Dave, you're wrong. Racism does not exist in China." And then we had a whole argument in the writing. But in class, she's like, "Hi, Dave." And she's this big too. Contingency. A student said in the journal, "Dave, I would like to say something about my dream flower," and your response. "How amazing, you said." So they had an activity which is called a dream flower. They put their dream in the center, and they tell me how they're going to get to their dream in the petal. I read the flowers, and I wrote them like a long page each about how I think they should get to their dream. So her journal, she wrote to me this: contingency, contingency. Emergence, handover, takeover. Back to the racism girl. She said, "I had a conversation with my dad, and I believe I will have a further conversation with my dad in the future. And I also look forward to talking with you if possible." She would not stop. She wanted to prove to me that racism does not exist in China. So she came to my office every day for 18 weeks to sit down with me and debate. Her father is also a psychology professor. I know, right? Everyone's like, "Oh yeah." And she's only this tall. Kathy's students taught her about the Lunar New Year. They taught her about family responsibilities and food, sayings, folklore, all this emergence, Hanover, they took it over. They used the journals to teach us. We learned from them as well. So, from what was discussed, there are many advantages of the dialogue journals and also disadvantages. In your groups right now, can you think of or brainstorm what are some advantages and disadvantages? You have 3 minutes. See timers? 3 minutes. Go. Are there more advantages or disadvantages? More advantages! Really? What are some advantages? Secretary. You, see, I love that. You see what she said? She goes, like, what do you think? She goes, we think. What do you think? Definitely. Uh-huh. Good. Organizing thoughts. Good. Good. What are some disadvantages?
It might get boring if it's too much.
Boring for who?
For teachers.
Now, believe it, or for teachers. Now, let me give you some background, because in the handout, I also gave you the actual assignment. Right? This is my assignment. At the bottom of the page, I wrote, please write your journal at least once a week, minimum 3 full pages per week. 12-point font, Times New Roman, double space. Students never wrote 3 pages. Minimum 6 pages.
Throughout the semester.
Huh?
Throughout the semester.
6 pages a week. I told them, remember, I had high-level students. Remember, I have high-level students. And so I had 100 plus students. How many pages am I reading? So all this data comes from that, by the way. But Kathy's students are low level. Kathy said some students have trouble writing sentences. But they end up writing one page handwritten every week. But remember, I told you, I'm crazy, right? I enjoy reading that much. I enjoy that process. Right? Other disadvantages that could happen. Number one, sorry, ladies first. Ladies first, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Only one disadvantage we can say is the group takes a lot of time.
A lot of time and energy. Sometimes I was in my office at night. I fell asleep on my computer. I was so tired.
But the results would be incredible, weight, so it cannot be disrespected.
Good. Any other ones? Oh.
Okay. Unless teacher is sensible, flexible to give comments to the students' journal, there might
This teacher, that's me.
fail. You understand? Unless the teacher is sensible or flexible in giving comments to the
Yes.
students, there might occur some like disrespect or like students might feel they might disappoint.
So,
I mean, the teacher sometimes has to stand on the student's side.
yes. Yeah. So basically he's talking about controversial topics or sensitive responses or et cetera, right? Yes, ma'am.
I agree with some topics can be very touchy concerning the different culture, Chinese and American culture.
And so here, what do I want them to, what do they write? What do they write about? Do I tell them what to write? No. They can, all I want them to do is to react to the discussions, react to this class issues, ask questions, describe something, argue, explore pedagogical implications, right? Because some of them we're going to be teachers. So how does this affect your future classroom? They chose everything they write. I went with it. Sometimes a student will say, Dave, I have no idea how to do your home fund assignment. Can you explain to me? Okay. Copy, paste from assignments. There you go. Yes. Yes.
When you teach in university,
Yes.
and you do kind of
I do this in every class I have.
if you're a student at university, you say hello Dave or hello something like reading textbook. Because I have one reading something similar like this.
Do you know her question?
No.
I don't either.
I'm going to explain now.
Okay.
Yes, I had this kind of science
Uh-huh.
when I was in university. One of my teachers in university.
Uh-huh.
And then we always send our essays, assignment by email. And then email is on trust. Again, I open up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then one day I wrote, hello, here. And then he replied, I don't think I'm going to take it. And then since that email, I become aware of if I write what he misunderstood me, kind of misunderstanding.
Misunderstanding. So your question is how to handle misunderstanding?
Yeah, since that day, now I'm scared of that teacher that, I can't look at his eyes straight anymore. I don't think I'm going to do it.
So there was a misunderstanding that happened. So your question is how to handle it?
Yeah, it's something that could happen.
Yeah, it could happen. That could be a negative. That could be a disadvantage. Yes. I had
Students start
I had a student fall in love with me.
trusting or not.
Mhm.
Some teacher, but
Yep. Well, sometimes if the teacher feels like the boundary, because the teacher has a boundary as well. You have to have your own boundaries. If he or she feels crossed, then you have to stop. Because exactly, this can get very personal. Okay, so set the boundary. Always set the boundary. So let's see what Kathy, Ryan, and I. Remember, Ryan was my friend. He helped with data analysis. That's what he did. But let's see if what you thought compares to what we thought. So we thought of advantages for students and then advantages for teachers. So for students, the Dialogue Journal provides a private space to interact with a teacher in a non-face-to-face context. Hence, the potential face threat is limited. Right? And it provides opportunities for students to explore controversial issues. So even Altan was like, we don't talk about sexual harassment in Mongolia. You might be able to in the Dialogue Journal. I don't know. Just saying. Just saying. Also, it affords students opportunities to disclose personal experiences in a low-risk environment. What does that mean, disclose personal experiences? Like the girl told me about her father and how he beat the mother, right? In a foreign language context, dialogue journals provide opportunities for students to get more input and generate more individual output. This is about language learning. Input, intake, output. So by reading more, writing more, and producing more language learning can happen. For students as well, dialogue journals allow them to get personalized comments from the teacher. Also, provides a vehicle to develop language, writing, vocabulary, grammar. How do you teach grammar in dialogue journal? How do you do that? You can do that. It's really cool too. Do you know how? So, for example, a student says, Dave, I go to school. I write back, oh, you go to school? I underline to. I'm providing the right input so the student can see my response. For teachers, what are some positives? We have really unique glimpses into the students' ideas, their language proficiency, and sometimes their concerns. This is great. It's called personalization, how you change your language lessons for personalization purposes. Also, provides a private place to address those ideas and concerns. And also helps us understand the student's background, cultural, individual, and linguistic. So if I was in Mongolia teaching, which I want to in the future, I would do this right away. This is the way it helps me understand your culture the best. Janie said, it helps build relationships and rapport. So she said, I enjoyed the whole process of learning with my class in Dave. Unquestionably, we have established strong friendship with each other. This is a positive for the teacher. So far, lots of positives. Here's grammar. It allows grammar practice. The student said in Kathy's journal, so, I afraid English. I think I do not have confidence. I am afraid to speak. Does this sound like your students? The to be verb is gone, right? She writes back, what do you do when you are afraid of something? When I am afraid, sometimes I will tell my best friend that I am afraid. And he talks to me about what I am worried about. So clearly, grammar teaching is happening here. Also, dialogue journals were the conceptual anchor for the course. They help me make decisions about what to do in class, where to push and where to pull. I said that. But what are some disadvantages? Depending on the assignment, responding to dialogue journals can represent a substantial time commitment on the part of the teacher. In my course, because they wrote 6 pages to anywhere between 6 to 20 pages a week, I had to do 1 time a month. Because it took me a whole week to read all the journals. Kathy was the opposite. Every Thursday, the students submitted the paper. She gave it back to them on Sunday. Depends on your context. Here's negative. Students may divulge serious problems, suicidal thoughts, that the teacher needs to deal with in some way. Right? Teachers may discover some problems that they'd rather not know about and or cannot do anything about. I had 4 students tell me about their suicide. They want to kill themselves. In China, competition is very heavy in China. And so they're reaching out to someone. There's no counselor in China. Who's a counselor? The teacher. So Dave, help me, I want to kill myself. Whoa. Whoa, whoa. Once I read that, I go to the dean of the school and I say, please help this student. I can't do anything about that. Are dialogue journals culturally appropriate in all contexts? Would it be okay in Mongolia? Should teachers grade or correct students' dialogue journal entries? If so, how? And what's the optimal length and frequency? These are questions that, if you are researchers, go for it. Go for it. Do teachers who share the students' home culture have opportunities to learn from the dialogue journals? Or is this opportunity primarily relevant to teachers from a culture other than that of the students? So if I come to Mongolia, would I learn more from them than you would learn from them? This is a question that we have to keep asking ourselves, right? Let's go back to the research question. Are the 6 features of pedagogical scaffolding in the journals? And I'm going to say, yes. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Except maybe flow. It is hard to identify flow. And so, because of that concept, I highly recommend that you use this for your classes. A student named James said, education requires 2 things to cooperate with each other, teaching and learning. Successful education, of course, should have good cooperation of teacher and students. Each one-sided cooperation should give out and receive things equally. If one side is imbalanced, cooperation failed and education failed. He was my student. He currently is at Harvard Business School. I believe that what he said is very valuable and important for us to take into consideration. Because that's what dialogue journal is. It's that balance. And then Kathy's student said, the dialogue journals let us, as foreign language teachers, locate and enter our students' various ZPDs. What's a ZPD? The Zone of Proximal Development. Remember that? Providing private tailored input and modeling to each individual while engaging with their ideas. Engagement. Finally, the students found different affordances in dialogue journal assignments. A chance to vent or question, to explain themselves, to teach us, or for some, just more homework. Yeah, for a couple, it was, more journals, more home fun. But guess what? That was only a few. It was only a few. And so, thank you for participating. Remember, each student has a different teacher. And that's my research project.